Monday, and welcome back to the Lord and Arts channel. I'm John Lorden. Thank you so much for spending some time with us here today. Case Cracked is the show where we look into a mystery and what are the critical pieces that help solve that mystery. Today's case is called The Unlucky Lottery Ticket. 42-year-old Abraham Shakespeare would live an exciting life, although it didn't quite start out that way. Born in Florida in April of 1966, he attended school until the 7th grade when he decided to drop out. He was nearly illiterate and later in life would work many different jobs as a casual laborer. This type of work offers temporary or part-time employment with jobs lasting weeks, days, or in some cases, even just a few hours. He had worked as a day laborer unloading trucks. He washed dishes and took on whatever jobs he could find. He did have a criminal history. Theft, loitering, and failure to pay child support being some of the charges. After a brief stint in jail in 1995, he moved back in with his mother in Lakeland, Florida. On November 15, 2006, he was riding in a delivery truck with a man named Michael Ford. The two had been assigned to run an overnight food route to Miami. So far, they had delivered to 2 towns, and on their third delivery in Frostproof, they decided to stop at the Town Star Mini Mart to buy drinks and cigarettes. With only $5 in his wallet, Shakespeare opted to forego a drink and buy 2 $1 lottery tickets. This is something he did every week, but this week would be very different. One of those single dollar lottery tickets won Shakespeare the $30 million prize. Choosing to forego payments of $1 million a year until the full amount was paid, he instead received a lump sum of $17 million. Now, he could finally give back to the people who had been there with him all his life. To his 3 stepsisters, he gave $250,000 each. He gave his stepfather $1 million. His mother and sisters were given money as well. He paid off friends' mortgages and paid bills for people he didn't even know just because they asked for his help. For his son, a $1 million trust was set up to be paid out on his 18th birthday. In January of 2007, he bought a car, a Rolex from a local pawn shop, and a house with a pool and a 2-car garage in a gated community near Lakeland called Red Hawk Bend. For a few months, life was good for Shakespeare. But by April, he was being sued by the guy that sat next to him in that delivery truck, Michael Ford. In March, Ford approached Shakespeare and demanded no less than $1 million of his winnings. When he refused to pay up, Ford sued him, claiming that he actually bought the winning tickets for himself and that Abraham Shakespeare had stolen them from his wallet while he was out of the delivery truck. In court, the store clerk testified on Shakespeare's behalf, saying that he always stopped at their convenience store once a week to buy tickets. Co-workers would also testify that Ford's story changed several times. There was one big question that jury had to consider. Why would Abraham steal tickets that he didn't even know were winners? Before the trial ended, Shakespeare brought a trash bag full of old lottery tickets to prove his case, and it seemed to work. He was soon declared innocent. Ford filed an appeal that went to court on May 27, 2009, but Shakespeare didn't show up. His family claimed that they had lost contact with him, and they started to search. But on November 9, 2009, they officially reported him to police as missing. As his family hung missing posters and offered a $5,000 reward for information, investigators were hard at work questioning everyone. They learned that not long after his win, everyone Shakespeare came into contact with asked him for money. At first, he helped family, friends, and strangers, but soon he became disillusioned with his win, at one point telling his brother, "I'd have been better off broke." To another friend, he said, "I thought all these people were my friends, but then I realized all they want is just money." By late January of 2010, investigators found that all of the lottery money was gone. One name continued to come up during their questioning: Dede Moore. Police found out that Dede also went by Doris Moore and Doris Donegan. Moore had met Shakespeare's realtor in 2008 at a small business conference in Kissimmee. Moore, who was confined to a wheelchair due to a recent automobile accident, claimed to be a writer who wanted to write a book about Shakespeare's life. 2 weeks later, a meeting was set up. When Moore arrived at Shakespeare's house, she was driving, able to walk, and doing it in high heels. When she was asked about the missing wheelchair, she claimed to have healed herself through scuba therapy. Instead of the book she came to write, Moore claimed to actually want to help by acting as a financial advisor. From there, she set up Abraham Shakespeare LLC and gave herself control of all of the company's funds. She claimed she did this to hide his money so he would not have to pay child support. As his family started to lose touch with him, Dede would claim to always know where Shakespeare was. She would set up meetings between him and his family, but he never showed up for any of them. They were also confused by the text messages that they had received from Shakespeare. Not only did they not sound like him, but everyone knew that he was nearly illiterate. As investigators continued their questioning with family and with Moore, they found that she had told everyone he had left town and moved to a different state or to Jamaica or to Puerto Rico. At one point, she said that he was sick and he was in the hospital. That was found to be false. She even claimed that he was so tired of everyone asking for money that she had helped him escape his life to live in anonymity somewhere else. The only constant in Moore's explanations was how she continually changed her story. As they investigated further, they found that she had withdrawn $1 million from the LLC account, bought herself a couple cars, and went on vacation. When she was asked about the withdrawal, she said that it was a gift from Shakespeare. They also found that the formation of the LLC coincided with his disappearance. In December of 2009, Moore approached one of Shakespeare's friends, a man named Greg Smith. Greg had borrowed from his friend as well, and was told by Moore that if he made telephone calls acting as Abraham Shakespeare to Shakespeare's friends and family, she would forgive his debt. Soon after, Smith was approached and questioned by investigators. He agreed to work with police as an informant. Armed with a can of Red Bull that he had rigged with a recording device, Smith captured Moore admitting to killing Shakespeare and disposing of his body. She also gave him the .38 that she had used to commit the crime. Now, she needed help getting off of the police's radar, and she believed that Smith was her guy. Quote, "I'm so deep in this with you right now. If you go down, I go down," Smith said in the recording. Quote, "I'm not going to get caught," Moore stated. This recording would not only seal Moore's fate, but would finally help investigators locate Shakespeare. With her in custody, on February 2nd, 2010, officers searched a house that she had bought in her boyfriend's name. In the backyard, buried under only 5 feet of soil and covered with a concrete slab, investigators found the remains of Abraham Shakespeare. Initially, Moore was charged with being an accessory after the fact in first-degree murder and released on a $1 million bond. An autopsy would show that death occurred on or around April 6, 2009, from 2 gunshot wounds to the chest from a .38 caliber pistol. Under questioning, Moore stated that she had been framed. She claimed that a drug dealer named Ronald and his gang were the ones who had killed Shakespeare and were now targeting her and her son. Quote, "They were going to take my son and kill him and chop him up and put him on my doorstep," she claimed. She also claimed to have witnesses that could testify in her defense, but none of them were named and none came forward. She also claimed her 14-year-old son committed the murder, but then said that she had pulled the trigger herself, but only in self-defense. On February 19, 2010, Dede Moore was arrested on a charge of first-degree murder. Investigators found that Moore had never acted as a financial advisor, but had instead taken everything from Shakespeare. She took a vacation, bought vehicles and properties. All of this came from Shakespeare's account without his knowledge. They believe that on either April 6th or 7th of 2009, Moore shot and killed Shakespeare and then hid his body. She continued to live in his house and used his cell to answer friends and family members' texts. While she was keeping up the appearance that he was alive, she offered $50,000 to anyone who would take the blame for his murder. She also offered money to anyone who would dig the body up and place it somewhere else. Aside from the recording, the most telling piece of evidence came in the form of CCTV footage from Walmart. On it, she buys $104 worth of duct tape, gloves, plastic sheeting, and other miscellaneous items that were found near Shakespeare's body. When her case went to trial, no witnesses were called on her behalf, and Moore did not take the stand. After 2 years, on December 10th, 2012, she was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. She was also given an additional minimum sentence of 25 years for possessing a gun in the course of a violent felony. When Shakespeare's mother, Elizabeth Walker, talked to reporters, she said that her son trusted Moore, and so did she. She also says that she's not bitter and has already forgiven her son's killer. Quote, "Abraham was good-hearted, and I said if he was here today, I would let him know. I would have to tell him how much I appreciate him for who he was. It's too late now." Case cracked. I would like to thank The Ledger, TampaBay.com, ABC News, and Fox 13 News. Of course, the biggest thank you goes to Christy Arnhart for researching and writing up today's case, and here she is to discuss it with us now. Well, Christy, we got a lot to cover in our little chat segment here, but I just wanted to thank you for bringing that story forward. And coincidentally, there was a news article about that story that I read just a few days ago, and I know you don't know about that information yet, so we're going to get to that. But let's start by talking about some of the discrepancies. I know one of the things that you kicked over in the notes to me is there's some discrepancy about the trust fund. We're not sure if it was set up kind of from the goodness of his heart or if he was forced to. Can you give us a little more on that?
Well, News Journal Online states that $1 million trust was set up by Shakespeare for his son Moses to settle child support claims. Andrew said Moses would receive the $1 million when he turns 18.
Okay.
So I'm taking it to mean that he set it up.
Yeah. And I think you phrased it well in terms of how you put it into the script. I mean, effectively, one way or another, there is a $1 million trust fund that's set up for Moses when he turns 18.
Absolutely.
It's just the motivating factor. We didn't know if Abraham kind of did it on his own accord or
if it was court ordered.
If it was court ordered. So, okay. And then in 2017, we've got Fox News reporting that Dede Moore attempted to seek a new trial. She claimed that her former attorney, Byron Heilman, did not allow her to testify during her trial, even though that she wanted to. And this is kind of leading in a little bit into some personality traits. We already got a little bit of it from the story. She seems like a bit of a storyteller, huh?
Yeah, she really is.
Yeah.
Some of this stuff is just crazy.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, she had some other things that she had claimed that Shakespeare's friend, Greg Smith, had also tampered with the jury.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Yes.
So
she claimed so many things. At one point, she claimed that she had anaphylactic shock from using Bactrim while she was in jail. She scolded the judge during trial. I'm serious. She's something.
Wow. Yeah. Well, there was the article that I bumped into was actually talking about websleuths.com and Trisha Griffith. And I didn't know this, but they play a little bit of a role in some of the investigation with this story as well. According to an article at theguardian.com, literally just came out last week, Trisha Griffith states, one of our members was able to get Moore's bank records. And that's when a detective called to thank me. Dede Moore, also living up to this personality that we've been kind of touching around with this story, also joined the forum, seemingly trying to clear her name. And when that wasn't going too well, she got Trisha got an email directly from Dede Moore, stating that someone was impersonating her on the forum.
Oh my gosh.
What was Trisha's response to that? Quote, "Well, I got to tell you, somebody must have broken into your house and used your computer because the IP address on this email matches the IP address of the person posting.
Oh, she's so good.
Isn't she?
She is.
So we also see that in 2001, there's another instance. What goes on there?
Well, let me see. In 2001,
So this is before.
This is before she ever met Shakespeare.
Right.
Moore's debts were already mounting. To keep one of her cars, which was about to be repossessed, she claimed that she had been kidnapped and sexually assaulted, which made her unable to make her payments. When officers investigated her claims, they found them to be false, and they sentenced her to probation. And I mean, she even went as far as to agree to take a rape test to prove the assault, which came back negative.
Wow. Yeah. She is a storyteller. Just won't let it go. And then Michael Ford, we did mention that he tried for an appeal. He didn't win that appeal either. And you kind of have an interesting point about that. What do you think?
Well, honestly, everybody who asked Shakespeare for help got the help that they asked for. I think if he would have come at him with a request instead of a demand, he would have probably been given the money. Maybe not $1 million like he wanted, but he would have got some money.
It certainly seems like it. I mean, especially with all the people that he had helped. And, if this is a guy that was struggling like him, working as a casual laborer in that kind of way, and, he approached him and said, "Hey, I was your good luck charm," or something. Yeah, I can't imagine that Shakespeare wouldn't have provided him with something. But, of course, he wanted the whole thing, right? He wanted at least $1 million, and then, no, it was my ticket altogether, and he robbed it from me. It's crazy what greed can do to people.
It is.
And then we get a really interesting turn in June of 2017. Tell us about that one.
Well, in June of 2017, Antoinette Andrews, who is the mother of Shakespeare's son Moses, won $1 million on a $20 Monopoly scratch-off ticket.
Now, I would normally say this is a lucky family, but knowing what happened to Abraham, so what's her take on that?
Well, she did say that she was a little bit scared, especially after what happened to Abraham.
Yeah.
But she went ahead and took the lump sum of $770,000, and they're just trying to live their best life now.
I hope so. And if nothing else, it seems like Moses has a good shot at, so.
He's got a much better shot than his dad had, that's for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Christy. We really appreciate you. And I've got some other people to thank right now. Thank you, PayPal supporters Brandy Fry, Jennifer Dixon, Angela Welch Sola, and a special thank you to community manager LaShonda Alexander and her family for a special donation made to honor the Margaret Sweet case that we covered on Brain Scratch a few weeks ago. We'll now be able to run that website for 10 years thanks to that donation. If you'd like to support the channel, please visit lordnarts.com. There you can sign up for Patreon, sign up for PayPal, or buy merchandise. Case Cracked is frequently demonetized by YouTube, but we know that learning about the mechanisms that help support and find justice in these cases is really important to understand the many unsolved cases that we also cover. We really appreciate your support in allowing us to continue doing that. Remember, you can get another Lord and Art story every week on the Seriously Mysterious podcast. A new episode is coming tomorrow and every Tuesday after that. Visit seriouslymysterious.com and remember to subscribe on your favorite podcatchers. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon below if you'd like to catch one of our weekly secret live shows. And of course, I'll be back with a new unsolved mystery for you on Friday, right here on the Lord and Arts channel.